Hello everyone and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. My name is Giridhari Das and today we're continuing with our Gita Mahatmya series. And today we're going to be talking about the special secret powers of chapter 4 of the Bhagavad-gita. Now the Gita Mahatmya is found in the Padma Purana and it's a conversation between Lakshmi Devi and Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is telling Lakshmi Devi about the power of the Bhagavad-gita, but it's actually being retold by Shiva to Parvati. So Lord Shiva is telling Parvati what he heard from Lord Vishnu telling Lakshmi Devi. So now this is the power of chapter 4. Sri Vishnu said, "My dear Lakshmi, now I will describe the glories of the 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gita. On the bank of the river Ganges, there's a town of the name of Kasi, Benares, where at the temple of Vishwanath, a great saint of the name Bharata lived. Daily and with great devotion, he would recite the 4th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad-gita. Previously, when Bharata had been traveling on pilgrimage, he had gone to the town of Tapodan to take darshan of the deity of Sri Krishna there. While leaving that town, he saw 2 bile fruit trees. Deciding to take rest under the shade of those trees, he lay down, using the root of one of the trees as a pillow and the root of the other to rest his feet upon. After some time, when Bharata left that place, those 2 trees started to dry up. Within 5 or 6 days, both trees completely dried up and died. The 2 souls who had been living in those trees took their next birth as the daughters of a very pious Brahmana. Once, when those girls had reached the age of 7, they had gone on pilgrimage to Kasi. While wandering in Kasi, they happened to see the great sage Bharata. When they saw Bharata Maharaj, they immediately went and fell at his feet, and in sweet words said, "O Maharaj Bharata, due to your mercy, we both became freed from the tree form of life." When Bharata Maharaj heard this statement, he became surprised. He inquired from them, "My dear daughters, where and when did I come in contact with you and free you from the form of trees? Also kindly inform me how you attain the form of trees, because I do not know anything about this matter." Thereafter, those 2 girls first informed Bharata Maharaj the reason for their attaining the form of trees. So this is how they became trees. The 2 girls said, "Maharaj, on the bank of the river Godavari, there is a sacred place of the name Chinapap. At that place, there was a rishi called Sachatapa. He was performing very great and difficult austerities. In the hot season, he would sit in between many fires. And in the cold season, he would stand in the cold river. In the course of time, he became completely pure and had complete control of his senses. And slowly he attained the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Sri Brahma started visiting daily to take the darshan of Sachatapa and put questions before him about the devotional service to Sri Krishna. Sri Indra, meanwhile, was becoming very worried, seeing the elevated position of Sachatapa, thinking that he might one day usurp his own position as king of heaven. At that time, Sri Indra called the 2 of us who in that birth were apsaras in the heavenly kingdom and instructed us, Go and cause the fall down of Sachatapa before he tries to usurp me of my position. So this is just to give a little explanation here. This is a classic setup you see over and over again in the scriptures, where you have Lord Indra. Now Indra, for if you're Western, he's like Zeus. He's the equivalent of Zeus. Or if you're a Marvel Comics fan, Thor. So he's the god of thunder. And he's the king of the other demigods. So over and over again, what we see is, and of course, to get to the position of Indra, Zeus, whatever, basically you're like the king of good karma. That's, you're like if there was like a little board of like rankings of good karma, number one, Lord Indra. So basically like, of course there's other higher births, but basically like in terms of like just being a materialist, good karma, it's Indra. So that's the birth you get for top karma. So what happens though is Indra is always worried that somebody else is going to, catch up with him in the rankings of like massively good karma, of having all this positive, and then take his position. So you see this over and over again. And whenever that happens, what they do is, because usually it's sages, they get angry, they get, Indra, because a regular human just doing stuff, it's like there's no chance of catching up with Indra. But like a sage, a person just dedicating their entire lives to like burning their bad karma and just accumulating piety, So these sages would sit there, especially sages like this, they're like doing all these hard hatha. This is hatha, very intense practices, mortification of the body. So he'd get worried about that. And then what he'd do is, in Swarga, in the heavenly kingdom, you have all these apsaras, you have these wonderful courtesan girls, beautiful women, dancers, and they're just, they're heavenly. They're a beauty 10,000 times greater than the most beautiful woman on earth. And so he would always send, because it's usually men. It's usually like men doing these like austerities. And so he would send these apsaras to tempt the sages, because then they would lose all their concentration. They would just like, they would burn their good karma. Because it's like, either you'd burn your karma or they get bad karma getting angry. So it was like, it's a good technique. Because either they would get really angry or they would get, all lusty and, get involved and forget their harsh mortification of the body. So you'd always send apsaras to do this job. You see this over and over again. It's very funny. Okay, so they were sent. They were the ones sent. It's a very dangerous job too. It's not very nice of Lord Indra to send these poor girls, because they usually, they're dealing with a very powerful person who knows that he's being tricked, so it's not very good. So this time it was really bad for them. After receiving Sri Indra's instructions, we left from his presence and went to the bank of the Godavari River, where Sachatapa was performing austerities. At that place, we both started to sing and dance very provocatively close to Sachatapa, with the intention of causing that sage to engage in a sexual relationship with us. So that was their plan. They would always come down and like their clothes, you see these scenes where like the wind would blow their clothes away, this kind of, you imagine like some nymph, this beautiful, like, because usually these sages are like in a forest, river, nature setting. So beautiful women come down in the breeze and they're singing and dancing, like what? They would really lose it. And so they were trying to do that with him. While dancing, our covering cloth slipped down and our breasts became visible. So this is a classic. You see this over and over again. So it's like, oh, whoops, my clothes fell off. At that time, taking water in his hand, the sage cursed us with the following words. So this is like the worst case scenario for these poor girls. The sage would catch on to it and get angry. So he got angry and he cursed us. You both will become bell trees on the bank of the river Ganga. Boom, he just like, that's it. And they had all this power, right? So they could like, they had the cursing power, which is also like a classic theme of all the Vedas, huge theme in the Mahabharata. So he had this he had the cursing power. So boom, you're going to become trees. Upon hearing his curse, we both fell at his feet and begged for his forgiveness. And this is also a classic thing. So these people would would do something wrong, would screw up with a great sage. The sage would curse him, but there was like a little, appeal court kind of thing, like, no, wait. And then, sometimes they would like, no, wait, and you could amend the curse. They would never just lift the curse. Because, once they said, it's done. Like, the power of their speech, like, look, what I've said is done. You can't take it back. But they could amend it. So they did a thing. So they were begging, this is their appeal. My dear sage, please forgive us, for we were simply the servants of Sri Indra. So like, it's the old, like, oh, we're just under orders excuse. Seeing our submissive attitude, the sage became pleased and informed us that we would remain as trees until Maharaj Bharata came in contact with us. And he also blessed us that we would be able to remember our previous births. So he amended the curse. It's like, okay, that's the curse, but hey, here's the good news. This is going to happen. This great sage Bharata is going to come. He's going to free you. And as a bonus, I'm going to let you remember all these lives, which is going to be really good for your spiritual development. So it was kind of like, it wasn't, it was actually good for them, in the long run. Sri Vishnu's, my dear Maharaj Bharata, so then they continue explaining to Maharaj Bharata. My dear Maharaj Bharata, at that time you visited Tapodan, you rested beneath us. When we were in the form of bal trees, you were reciting the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. And by hearing that recitation, we not only became free from that tree form of life and attained birth in a devotee family, we also lost all desire for enjoying in this material world. So here is finally the power of the 4th chapter. And the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is really wonderful, by the way. It's all about jnana yoga. It's very powerful, and it's actually about burning your karma. In chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually gives us instruction on how we can all burn our karma to ashes. He uses this term, burning them to ashes. So we can burn our karma to ashes, just like their karma was burned to ashes by Maharaj Bharata chanting the 4th chapter under them, just by hearing the 4th chapter. So they burnt up their tree karma, and not only that, but they burned even more karma. They just became free of all kama, of all desire for material enjoyment. They just wanted to focus on life, and that's why they took birth in a Brahmana family. So it was like wonderful. It's actually very good for them. Sri Vishnu said, my dear Lakshmi, when those 2 girls recited their history before Bharata Maharaj, he became very happy and left for his ashram. So he was very pleased that he was able to help them. And those 2 girls throughout their life carefully recited the 4th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita daily and attained devotion to my lotus feet. So that's it. Another wonderful story from the Gita Mahatmya. Let me know if you're enjoying the series, if you have any questions, and have the rest of your day with lots of peace and lots of love.